What has DeMeco Ryans learned over the last two preseason games? We got a guest, y'all. B. Scott from Hiram Clark. B. Scott from Hiram Clark. B.
That was Big Sarge. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? You're tuning into the Texans Tailgate Talk Show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports, the Z at the end. Follow me on the ticker and the talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to the Texans Tailgate Talk Show, all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. All right, y'all, we got a guest. Hey, listen, before I bring this guest into the house, let me tell y'all something. Y'all better not show y'all asses today, okay? Y'all better not. Now, he is more than just a guest, right? He actually has a key to this house. Don't y'all act up in here. Y'all make me look good today. We can act a fool when he gone, but when he here, let's act like we got some sense. You ain't got to call me Brian. You can still call me Sarge while he's around. But when he come up in here, y'all don't get to acting no fool in these comments, okay? We got to act like we got some dignity. You know what I'm saying? Like we're one of those guys. Excuse me, may I have some tea and crumpets, please? Thank you. B. Scott from Hiram Clark. B. Scott from Hiram Clark. B. Scott from Hiram Clark. B.
Hey, I couldn't even hold it, man. I was trying to decide, hey, man, every time I make a point that I think is good, at least, do I want to go ahead and hit y'all with that? I'm trying to decide. You see what I did from the Texans media party when me, you, and Jay took that picture. I was like, hey, man, this is the vibes right here. This is what I want. This is how I want to be represented, just like this here. And then we just happened to have that sunlight in the background, too. It made us look even I know, right? Greater. You know what I'm saying? It enhanced it. I'm like, let's go, man. Thank you for having me, Big Sarge, man. I'm glad to be here, dog.
For me, though, it's different, though. That sun hitting is different because, you know, it lightens me up and I don't have to do as much editing when I, put the picture out.
Hey, I don't even want to show you how close this light is to me because I'm closer to your color than this picture is making it seem like. But this light is doing the work, bro. It's doing the work.
B, welcome to the show, man. Hey, before we get started, I know that you all made a move, and even though Sports Radio 610 is still around, you all made a jump to the FM side, and now it's 95.7 The Fan. And I think that you all have a broader range now. You sound clearer. I've had an opportunity to, catch a couple of segments here and there, and I really do like, the clarity that you all have. B, what has it been like, man? What is it, about a week now?
Yeah, it just a little bit over a week. Today is Friday, so I think we did it last Thursday or Wednesday, so about a week and some change, man, and it's been good. I would say the big change obviously is the clarity, but it's also because of the clarity and because of the wattage, and I don't get into all the numbers of the 1,000 watt, whatever it is, but it just is a much broader reach with a clearer sound, man, and that's really the essential part of it. And then on top of that, of course, there was a rebrand associated with it, right? So it's not like just Sports Radio 610 went to FM and everything was the same. They did change the name, which all of what is going on there has some risk involved, man. I can say that. pretty openly, and without having to worry about any kind of ramification from it. Like flipping the station that they did, which was 95.7, the spot they played. Think of it as like 80s and 90s hits. Your Princes and Madonnas and Whitney Houstons and Wham and just stuff like Journey and stuff like that. They flipped a very successful station and completely changed the brand, which normally does not happen. Normally, when an FM station gets flipped, it's because it's failing. It's because it's struggling. It's because it needs to be flipped. This is not the case. This station did not need to be flipped. The company, I just think, rolled the dice and kind of sports, and specifically on that station, sports radio, formerly Sports Radio 610, now 95.7 The Fan. So it's a risk. It's a risk that everybody felt like was worth taking from a business side, and then from a radio side, man, we just glad to know that y'all can hear us.
Yeah,
Y'all can hear us pretty good, and that you can go in the garage or through the car wash and not have to turn your radio off.
and they get them little fancy T-shirts and all that other stuff. I seen that. Y'all around there wearing all this new merch. I was like, oh, okay, that's cute.
One of the best parts about being in radio is the free gear. Hey, forget about the new merch, man. I still got the old merch. I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah.
All these Sports Radio 610 polos and T-shirts that I got right sitting over there. I got 95.7 The Spot. My mouse right now, my mouse pad that my mouse is sitting on is 95.7 The Spot. I got polos from that, man. I'm keeping all my free clothes, dog.
Hey, I'll put it like this, B. It's funny that you said what you just said. You said you said one of the things about having a new job, what you say, a new job is the free gear. Wait, say that one more time. You remember you said
one of the best parts about having a radio job is the free gear. It's a bunch. They got a whole, because at the radio station they got a whole room, at least where we at, that's just got free T-shirts in it.
So I'm glad you said that, B, because that brings us right into the Texans, because I know that a lot of these players that are on the Houston Texans right now, it's not a radio job, it's a NFL job for now. And fortunate for them, they have access to a bunch of the team gear as well. So, B, let me tell you something. I was having this conversation with one of our colleagues last night after the game, and I said, man, if I was one of these guys that was on the bubble, knowing that I'm like, I didn't put up my best performance the last two games, and it's on tape and you can see, and I don't think that I'm going to make the 53-man roster. B, do you know what I'm doing every day until the end of the preseason? Hey, bro, hey, can I get some more shorts, man? The other ones, I forgot my shorts, bro. Hey, can I get a T-shirt? I need some T-shirts, bro. Let me get some socks. B, I would be the flyest. I would be the flyest dude in the gym after the regular season start. They'd be like, hey, you used to play for the Texans? Then B. So hold on, because I'm not gonna. We got guests, so I'm not gonna use the N-word. But B, look, B, I'll be in the gym and they'd be like, oh, you used to play for the Texans? Be like, yeah, but man, they be hating. They got their people that they already wanted to have. They brought me in as a camp body. So I got my agent. My agent is looking into a couple of more deals for me. I may have to start out on the practice squad, because you know how it is. The NFL is all about politics and all about who you know and who your agent knows. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, but I'm gonna be back in there. I would be getting all of the free gear, but I would be wearing a Texans. I would wear a Texans T-shirt to church.
It actually remind me of a guy who was briefly my uncle. So my aunt married a guy who he played football at Grambling, and then he was at camp with the Eagles. I don't think he ever made the team, but I think he went to an Eagles training camp. Yeah. But as far as we know, he played for the Eagles. I got an uncle that used to play for, and he has since passed, and so God rest his soul. But he would have you believing. And so my point is, despite just being at a Texans training camp, I would leave, and I think you right there with me. We would leave Texans training camp, however long it lasts, whatever our cut date is. We would leave the camp with enough gear to make it look like we played there 7 to 8 years or so.
B, let me tell you something. Because most of us, so people, okay, so let me take you inside, not you, B, but let's take the fans inside of the Texans locker room during training camp. So when you walk into the locker room, of course you got every, the players, they have their lockers. As soon as you walk in, the first locker you come to the left is Nico Collins. The first one you come to the right is Dalton Schultz. And then it
Yep.
makes it way around. You got Jadeveon Clowney sits right next to Will Anderson Jr., sits right next to Sheldon Rankins, who sits right next to Caden McDonald. And then you go on down, you got Hutch Henry, you got Daniil Aziz, you go further down. You got
Titus used to be over there. I don't know who got Titus
yeah,
spot.
Ed Ingram uh Ariante Ursary sitting next to each other. You go further down, Petrie got a corner spot. Then you got Petrie got a corner spot. I think David Montgomery sits next to CJ now. Then on the opposite side, Kamari gonna sit next to Kamari gonna sit next to Kalen, who's sitting next to oh my God, I lost. He gonna kill
And now you in the
Jamal
back.
Hill.
You toward the back now.
Yeah, Jamal Hill. Well, on the opposite side, I didn't get all
On
the
the
way
other
back
side.
to where Jawar
Yep.
Jordan is. So I'm just painting a picture. You come around, you got Woody's locker, you got Stingley locker and all that. So I'm saying that you walk in and you see these lockers, and then in the middle, you have temporary lockers, right? You got guys, and I'm not gonna say no names, but you got guys who is just like, it's not even bigger than a cubicle. It's literally big enough to change clothes, put your phone in there. There's not even an electrical outlet in there, but that's neither here nor there. But B, if I was one of those guys and I walked in and I knew that my locker was in the middle of the floor, I'm like, oh hell yeah. Oh, look, I'm getting CJ gloves. I'm
Yep.
getting Will Anderson's cleats. I'm getting I'm getting a towel from Derek Stingley. I'm
Yeah.
walking over to David Montgomery and be like, hey, bro, can you please follow me back on social media? B, I'm getting so cool. I'm getting so cool with the equipment guys. I'm helping picking up the dirty towels after the game. They be like, hey, bro, you play. Yeah, man. Let me just go ahead and help you out, man. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
You
I ain't
never know
got no
where you might
problem.
be able to get a job up in there. You might
Let
be
me
you
spray
might
down
be
the shoulder pass.
hey, you go from camp to going like, y'all hiring? Can I put in an application? Will
B,
you
which
take
is
my resume? I write a mean cover letter.
right, which is really weird, B, because nowadays, like, and look, we're gonna start the show here, but when you're on the Texas Tailgate Talk Show, B, you already know with Texas Tailgate Talk or with Sports Talk with Big Sarge, this is what I do. I pontificate on a lot of things before we actually jump into it. But B, side note, right? So some of these guys that may not have a job with the Texans anymore and may not be able to get with a NFL team this season, right? B, what happened to the good old days when your partner used to just get you a job? I don't even think these young, what are they called now? Gen what? Gen, I don't even know.
Gen Z,
Z?
not Gen Z. They Gen Alpha.
Millennials?
I think they had to start over. They had to go to the Greek alphabet.
Oh my God. So these,
Yeah.
these, B, these young people don't ask, are you hiring no more? They just go become content creators, right?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, man. Senior Buble say Gen BS. Uh, to your point, I got this Gen Alpha, a bunch of Gen Alphas in this house, and I'm having to employ them. I done found one of them to cut some videos for. The oldest one is
Yeah.
doing some of my like promotional video, any kind of like endorsement that I might get, anything like that. And I'm just not starting to get that. So shout out to that. But I'm looking at her like, man, she don't have part of it is my fault. But poor girl don't have a lick of work ethic. A
I
lick
got
of it. She means she's a sweet girl. She mean well, she's smart, but just don't have a lick of work ethic. So I'm trying to teach her a little something. Have her over here come work for the B block,
Hey,
the
B,
family business.
and it's crazy, B, because when I look at it, I'm like, my oldest granddaughter, I'll never forget. Her mom, my oldest granddaughter and my two granddaughters that live in Louisiana. And their mama called me one day and was like, let me tell you something. It was like early on a Saturday morning. You're not gonna believe what your grandkids just asked for. I said, what? Like they want to go to Chick-fil-A. And she said, you know what I told them? That we ain't got y'all don't have no Chick-fil-A money. I said, whoa. Pump your brakes right there, little mama. Stop. I said, put me on speakerphone. So she put me on speakerphone. I said, hey, babies, y'all want to go to Chick-fil-A? They was like, yes, Papa, we want to go to Chick-fil-A. I said, y'all want to go to Starbucks too? They was like, ooh, yes, Starbucks. I said, hey, I said because my daughter's name is Jazz, and I said, Jazz, let me tell you something. Don't you ever fix your lips again and tell my babies that they don't have no money. Because if Pawpaw got money, they got money. I
Yeah.
preface that to say that yes, B, I'm part of the problem too, because I don't ever want my granddaughters to work for nobody. That's why I grind like I grind. I'm like I don't want them to have to go out and if they want to work, I want them to work because they want to work. But I would love to employ them myself, and let them work for me.
Yeah, I wonder where it happened, where that switch happened with Generation X and the millennials and the folks that's parents and grandparents now. Of like, when did we get to the point where, like, because I think it's always been where parents thought that their children were viewed as a reflection of them, but now it almost seemed like we got way more ego with it. Like they did it as accountability. Now it's like, man, if my baby look broke or if my grandbaby look broke, then that mean that I'm broke. You know what I'm saying? So like, I want them to be more of what I am. Even this morning, man, this wasn't a broke money thing, but my son, he in the 6th grade, so he just leaving the elementary school. He a child, right? So he making that transition.
Starting over as
His
a freshman in middle school.
basically, right? And it is his first period is gym. Pre-athletics is what they call it now, but it's gym, right?
Yeah.
And we get to the school, this boy don't have his gym clothes. He don't have his gym shoes. The shoes that the kids wear are ridiculous. So they not workout shoes. He don't have nothing. Nothing. For the first class of the day, right? So fortunately, we drop him off an hour ahead of time. I got time to go to the house and do everything. But after I did that, so made the double trip, get back to the house, and my girl is like, you should have taught him a lesson. You should have taught, because back if you had did that, you would have just had to look stupid in class and either get an F for the day or not participate or whatever it was. But in my mind, I'm like, that's my son. He in the 6th grade. This is second week of 6th grade. He don't. This is a new world to him. He don't know responsibility. Maybe I gotta teach it to him, but man, I don't want him to be out there with no gym clothes and no shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Because
So I did it.
back in our day, they look, our parents would have been like, all right, well, hey, look, that's on you. You
Yeah.
forgot it, you just forgot it. And then you get an F, and then you be like, yeah, I got an F. Well, what you get an F for? Because I forgot my gym clothes. Well, why you forget your gym clothes? Like,
Yeah.
and then it's all like, wait a minute, you knew that this problem had occurred early this morning. Like, now I'm getting a whooping because it happened in the morning and it happened in the afternoon. But B, speaking of accountability, right? The Houston Texans, the Houston Texans played their second preseason game on Thursday, and unfortunately, what looked like was going to be a win when they had a 23 halftime lead turned into a loss as they gave up 19 points in the second half, and they lost 22-20, and they lost on a 2-minute drive to,
Yeah.
was it Aiden O'Connell? Is he he's the third string
Yeah.
quarterback for them?
That's who it was. That's who was out there dealing for him.
And I'm saying to myself, okay, all right, I get it. It's just preseason, right? It's just preseason, so they can get over it. But that's the same thing you said last week against the Chargers, right? You're looking at it and you say, okay, I mean, it's just the first preseason game. You know, some of these guys never played in the NFL before. They got to get themselves acclimated and get used to it. And then these same guys, B, who came into the game well after the starters had went out. CJ played a series. Woody Marks played a series, and once these reserves to the reserve start playing, some of these fringe guys who are on that line of making it to the 53, they look bad. So what was your assessment, or what do you think what was your assessment of your evaluation of the second half, not the first half, because we'll get to, let's start with the bad and end with the good.
Yeah, so my thing about it is, and now this is 2 weeks in a row of this, as you just mentioned, I just feel like the depth of the team has been exposed, right? We already know about the top end, the good players, the ones that you mentioned when you were rattling off the lockers earlier. We know that this team got some marquee names on it, and it's the reason why they're one of the AFC favorites. It's the reason why it would surprise nobody if the Texans were to actually finally go to an AFC championship game, which they've never done in their history. They go to a Super Bowl, which they obviously have never done in their history. We wouldn't be surprised if they were to do that because of the top end talent that we all know that they have. But one of the things that I felt like, and part of this is just the camp optimism that's part of it, but one of the things that I thought was really being celebrated about the team and how Nick Caserio had built the team going into the season was like, oh, it looks like a deeper team. This is one of their more deeper teams. This like depth is really a positive for them, a strength for the Texans. And then you go out there and you look at their depth and what the depth is supposed to look like. And I haven't seen necessarily a deep team per se. I've seen some really good players again on the top end, but some of these reserves and how they might match up against others, at least these first 2 weeks of preseason, and we're talking about, it was one thing for the reserves to not match up well against another potential playoff team in the Los Angeles Chargers the week before, right? I can live with that, but you telling me you don't have the depth of a Raiders squad? Your back end of your roster can't beat any part of their roster that's not the starters, and they weren't playing their main guys either at that point. You mentioned Aiden O'Connell out there, so that for me was the big takeaway. Is like, okay, the if something were to happen to these guys that we're all excited to watch play football this year, I feel like we'll be a little bit less excited based off of what we've seen. I don't mean that it can't get better and that it can't improve, because that was the story of the Texans last year, is how they got better throughout the season. But yeah, man, I'm not feeling as great about the depth on this team as I was, say, going into training camp.
I feel like some of those players that have played the last two games, I feel like, and this ain't no shot at them, because to even make it, to get invited to a camp, to go undrafted but still get invited to a camp, that's something I've never done. That's something maybe back in the day I could have put my mind to it, but like I just couldn't fathom the thought of right now of trying to make an NFL roster, because I know that I could not. But with that being said, I'm not trying to take no shot at them, but by the same token, we're going to evaluate. We're evaluating you with your peers. We're evaluating you with your colleagues. We're evaluating you with other NFL players. And with the magnitude of talent that was in the game, late in the game, you're saying to yourself, okay, so what the Raiders are trying to do and what the Texans are trying to do is seeing, okay, so it's not like you're unevenly matched. You don't have, the reserves of the reserves going up against the Raiders starters and vice
Right.
versa. I mean, because you can only imagine what that first team defense would have done to that offense that was in for the Raiders, with Aiden O'Connell. Like, Will probably would have had like 12 sacks in one half if he would have been in the game. But with that being, look, funny I said 12, right? Because of where he was ranked in the top 100. We'll get to that in
How
a
about
minute.
that?
But with that being said, you're looking and you're saying to yourself, okay, so I get it, right? There's some players that would have been out there last night, I feel like would have changed some of the trajectory of the game. Like, I believe that if Jawar Jordan would have been out there, running the ball, that would have looked a little bit different. I believe that if Wright, what is his name? Colin
Colin
Wright
Wright.
would have
Yep.
out there. Is it what's Ingram's last name? Is it Jamar Ingram? The one who has the shoulder injury. The one that they got over from the one that came over from the I think it was the Bills last year.
Jamarcus Ingram.
Demarcus, yeah. So like you got like two cornerbacks that are out. You have a running back that's out. So when I look at it, I'm saying to myself, okay, I get it, right? And I understand. You still got some guys out there that's still trying to get their feet wet. But B, you and I have been around DeMeco Ryans for a long time. This is going on 4 years as a coach, right?
Yep.
I wasn't around him when he was a player, but 4 years as a coach, B, that's not good enough. Like there's no excuses that he's going to take, because he said you need to get out there. This is your job, and there was too many times that the same players were making the same mistakes, and at some point you're going to have to clean that up and get better. Like, you shouldn't be getting beat on the same route. You shouldn't have the running back running by you the same time. You shouldn't be, as a linebacker, caught up in all the congestion on 3 out of the first 4 plays. So at some point, I understand he's going to be like, and I look at it as it's just preseason, but you're also, this is your job interview, B. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you looked at that unit that was in there in the second half, was there anybody that stood out to you?
Yeah, so I would say more than anything, and this is not going to wow the audience, but y'all got to work with me. Like, I was looking at offensive line, like people who I was more so focused on people who I think still have a chance to make the team.
Yeah.
So like Jared Patterson, for example, on the offensive line is somebody, and we know they made a deal and guaranteed him some money and all of that. So he's likely to make the team. And he's somebody, and I heard I was listening a little bit to the radio broadcast, Andre Ware talking about how much he loves his game, right? Just to kind of the versatility, the fact that he can play either guard spot, and obviously play center. I see Elijah Griffin in here in the chat mentioning number 17. I thought both the number 17s were at least a little noteworthy. We're talking about Brandon Codrington on the defensive side, the cornerback, and then Daniel Spakowicz on the offensive side. Yeah. But and like they were decent, but honestly, man, it just made me realize like these are the guys that really are not going to be on the team and are, to your point, you mentioned interview, it's an audition for their next spot. And did I see too many players on there where I'm like, if I was another team, hey, I want to go pluck that guy? I didn't see a lot of that, to be honest with you. I mentioned Jared Patterson to somebody, but that's somebody I expect to be on the team, as a depth piece. So honestly, no. And we're talking for the most part, and we're talking about like a group that, again, in back-to-back weeks has been just underwhelming and not up to the standard. I got this Swarm City T-shirt on right now. We know that Swarm is their mantra, right?
Yep.
Love it, love it. Where Ivy fit, that's the mantra, and you know what it means. That wasn't it. That was not swarmy. There was nothing swarm-like about what I was watching in that second half. It was very uncharacteristic. Both games, I would say, up to this point in the preseason, have been after the first couple series or so, have been uncharacteristic of Texans football.
It was two players that stood out to me on the defensive side of the ball. One being Jalen Reed, the backup safety, the reserve safety for the Texans. It, I just like the way that he is. He isn't afraid to mix it up. He isn't afraid of contact. He doesn't mind coming down, making the tackle as far as in the run game, but he also doesn't mind tackling in the open field as well. And one of the things that I was really impressed by with him, No B, is that after the game, when we walked into the locker room, because he sits right next to Caden McDonald, and so we walk in, and he in there, he's sitting there, and he has this look on his face, and so I was like, "You still pissed off that you didn't get that interception?" He was like, "Bruh." He was like, "Man, if these people weren't standing around Kate doing an interview right now, Sarge, I'd be cussing." He was hitting. He was like, "I should have had that." And he said, "I don't drop passes." And yeah, I don't know if you remember the where he almost had that interception.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, "I don't drop interception," and that bothered him.
You talking about the my bad. You talking about the third quarter, right? I think it was. I'm trying to remember the play where he dropped one.
It like I came like pretty much right to him. He jumped off his feet and tried to
Yeah.
catch it, and he
Yeah.
dropped it. That's the type of thing that you want to see from from a player. That type of passion. He's still thinking about the plays that he didn't make afterwards. And I mean, he was really upset that he did not get that interception. And so he stood out to me. And Jamal Hill, who's still learning how to play the linebacker position, like this is only his third year at playing linebacker in the NFL. And you remember his last year at Oregon, he switched positions. He went from playing safety to playing linebacker, and that's what the Houston Texans drafted him as. And so, well, a lot of these people who evaluate him, look at him under the magnifying light. I'm sorry, under the magnifying glass of a linebacker. And I was like, yeah, but y'all got to realize that he didn't play linebacker from Pee Wee football all the way up into college. He played 1 year in college, and now this is his third season of playing it in the NFL. And so he's still learning. So you can't look at like a Mapu or a Hummel or even a Woodaz or Jake Hansen, or I'm not talking about like Henry and Aziz. So I put them to the side, but when you're looking at you're trying to evaluate him and using the same metric and the same scale as lifelong linebackers. But what I seen last night was him being able to come downhill, for him to be able to get through the congestion and make some plays. And I mean, he still has there was some plays that he missed, so it's still a learning curve for him. But those two players kind of stood out. Hey, side note before we move to the next subject, I also looked at because you know what school Jalen Reed went to, right?
Penn State, yeah, Penn State.
So I was like,
I had to think of which. I was like, you said, Jay. I got to think of which Jalen we talking
yeah.
about because I know Smith went to USC. Yeah. Penn State is Jalen Reed.
And so I was like, I said, so are you more? Or I said, are you more pissed off that you dropped the interception, or that you had that your school is in the news because a bunch of squares was moving weight?
Y'all would have moved that dope. Y'all would have moved that dope. Hey,
This is wild, B. You see who the drug kingpin was at Penn State?
hey, man, they was on some mafioso type of stuff, bruh.
Oh man.
Mafioso type of stuff, man. And they say if you can't pay what you owe, you got to get in the game. You got to marry the game now. Now you guess what? Now you part of the family. You not now
Right.
you one of the uh colognes or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Uh yeah. No, that's a crazy story, bro. No doubt.
he laughed, bro. All he can do is laugh. And I'm thinking to myself, yep, so what? So when does Bill O'Brien come in to clean that up?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, B.
Hey, exactly. Now he be trying to get everybody off the team, messing up the money.
For sure, for sure.
Hey, you know what? Since you was mentioning players though, one did come to mind
Mhm.
that has stood out at training camp and at both of the games. I thought at various points. Not that he was dominating, but Naquan Jones. And I know you pointed him out as well on your own platforms and in various places. So shout out to you. But great minds think alike. We have both noticed that Naquan Jones, and look, they got a lot of dudes at that position. I don't know what his future look like with the team and elsewhere and all of that. I'm not really even speaking on that. We'll figure that out on the back end. But just players that are on the fringe of the roster that I think have done well for themselves. He would definitely be one of them. I think Jalen Reed. I'm glad you mentioned Jalen Reed. He's somebody I didn't even think about because he's on the team. I know
Yep.
he's going to be on the team, but you are right in what you're saying. Naquan Jones is somebody who I look at who I don't know if he's going to be on the team, but has auditioned well to either be on this team or somebody else's.
He gonna make it. He is.
Okay.
Naquan is definitely going to be, and he's going to be part of the rotation because you think about it. Remember, Tommy had to wait his turn behind Tim Settle Jr. And
Yeah.
now Tommy has stepped up and he's going to get those snaps. Caden McDonald is going to get those snaps behind Sheldon. Naquan is going to get those snaps. I feel like him and Logan Hall will probably
See, this is
share.
what I'm saying though. This the log jam. I like all of these players. I like everybody that we're talking about. But when I look at that interior, we're talking about the defensive line now, of course. I'm like, all right, we know they're Rank and Togi are probably their top interior guys.
Yep.
But of course, they just drafted Caden McDonald, and he got a sack last night, and he obviously is going to be on the team, and everybody is high on his upside, especially once everything clicked for him, right, technique wise and all of that. They asked him to do some different things than what he was asked to do in college. So there's him, and then Mario Edwards was brought back. You know, so that's four guys on the interior right there, and I didn't even that's before we get to Logan Hall, who is definitely going to be on the team and is definitely going to be in the rotation. So that it's a good problem to have. They got a lot of dudes. They got a lot of dudes to choose from. I'd love to see Naquan get in the mix and just have a bunch of dudes that you can throw out there, keep everybody fresh.
One of the things that defensive line coach Rod Wright and DeMeco Ryans love is having a bunch of guys, having depth at that defensive line position because D'Amico's whole thing is I don't want to wear these guys down. They got to play 17 games, and I'm going to need them in the postseason as well. And so if I just carry only a certain amount and I play them, their usage, if they have a high usage rate, now when it's time and I need them, especially with them being in the trenches, then by the end of the season, they're going to be worn down. And so they like to keep a lot of players, a lot of interior, defensive linemen in general, but definitely a
Yep.
lot of interior um, defensive line. And it's funny that you mentioned Mario Edwards Jr. because if you go back and you look at the interception, the 80-yard pick six that Wade Woodass had last night, that was caused by Mario Edwards.
Yeah.
Mario Edwards was able to get in and get that pressure. And when Mendoza started to drift over, that's why the pass
Was
is not
behind
on
him.
target. Which, side note, hey man, I was talking to Caden McDonald about this last night. I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't watch a lot of Indiana games. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't watch a lot of Indiana games because I was like, are they real or are they just the hottest thing right now? Right?
They was
Are
real,
they real?
Sarge. They
Huh?
was real, dog. They was real.
Yeah.
They was real as still.
I realized that once they got to it, once they won the national championship. But there was a game. Was that a game against Penn State? Who was that they almost lost to and they had to come back? Like Mendoza brought them back at the end of the game.
Might have been
The
Penn State.
touchdown pass where the dude got 1 foot down in the back of the end zone for the
Yeah.
touchdown. Hey, y'all drop that in the chat. I can't remember, but I was talking to Caden McDonald who had played against Fernando Mendoza, and I was like, "Hey, bro, I wasn't familiar with Fernando Mendoza's arm talent like that. Watching him in that joint practice, and then watching him play on Thursday night." And Caden said, then Sarge, you got to pay attention to. He's very elusive too. Say he may not look like it, but he's elusive. He's like that's why when I got that sack, I was smiling because 9 times out of 10 he knows how to avoid and elude pressure. He said so for me to be able to get to him like that, it was like it was uncharacteristic of how he plays, but it damn sure say something about the way I'll play. So you know but with
Yeah.
that being said, Mario Edwards was one of the reasons that caused that pass to be an errant throw, and so it's a lot. I want to stick with because I keep mentioning Caden McDonald a lot, but he wasn't the only rookie that had a good preseason game on Thursday against the Raiders. What was your assessment of some of the rookies that played on Thursday night?
Oh man, where do we start? We can start with Cade McDonald. Obviously, having that sack, it was a big moment. And I thought so on him real quick. I thought that his game, his first game, so last week against the Chargers, was a little bit underappreciated and under the radar from the standpoint of people saying that they wanted to see more and that they didn't see a lot. Like I was hearing a lot of that he didn't do a lot. And I'm like, yeah, maybe he didn't do a lot, but y'all don't realize how much attention bro was already commanding
Sure.
sight unseen, basically. Like the
Yeah.
strength and the power translates immediately. There's not a whole lot of complicated about strength, especially in this game in football. So I saw early double teams on Caden McDonald last week against the Chargers. Early double teams, and it's good on them that they did it because that was the way to sort of neutralize him. They had to send some extra attention to him, and I imagine funny that it would have been good to have asked him about that, like of how he felt like he was sort of dealt with in the first game versus this game, and just kind of what the adjustments is going to be like for him. And I mentioned earlier playing new technique, but his strength and power is going to translate immediately, like I mentioned before. And I think it was Matt Burke who was talking to us a couple of weeks ago saying that once he sort of masters the subtleties of the game, technique, and just some of the things that they're asking him to do, it's gonna flip like a switch. It's gonna flip like a switch with him. So I'm real excited about him. The Keelan Rutledge thing. So can we talk about this?
Yes.
Keelan Rutledge at guard. I felt like he had a pancake last week, and then I felt like the snaps this week, last night, they were excellent. He's looked good in both run blocking and in pass protection. The thing that's really spicy about it is that he played a lot of guard in this one. And, we might be getting some insight into how they're leaning toward their interior offensive line. Like, maybe too much was talked about of Keelan Rutledge at center and assuming that Wyatt Teller was at guard, and not enough was talked about of perhaps Evan Brown at center and Keelan Rutledge at guard, the position that he actually played in college. So, and I know they had him on the other side. He played right guard in college, but I feel like going from right to left is a lot easier of a transition than changing your whole entire position or changing your position entirely. So, that not only is a development, something that we've seen kind of sort of cultivate over the last several practices and into this game,
Yeah.
but it looked good in a game setting, right? They looked good together, and so he stood out. Marlon Klein to me continues to stand out, and I think that he is worth mentioning, especially in light of the Jaden Higgins injury. They're gonna have to find answers from somewhere, and I think it's gonna be a matter of not just one guy. You tell me if you disagree with this, and y'all feel free to disagree in the chat, because I know a lot of people want to talk about who they need to go get and what they
Yep.
need to go do, and I'm here for the conversation. I'm here for all of it, but realistically speaking, it's not going to be no one guy that's going to come in and give you what you were anticipating from Jaden Higgins.
That's true.
What is more than likely going to be, and what you're going to need, is a collection of guys stepping up a little bit and getting something from somebody that you just weren't getting before. Whether that's somebody that's been here and is just going to do more or do different things. In the case of, like, say, a Woody Marks, and I know we're talking about rookies, but that's just an example of somebody. And then the Marlon Klein thing, where they just didn't have a player like that last year. Obviously, Dalton Schultz had a really good season for them at tight end, but they didn't really have much past that at that position. And Marlon Klein is a different kind of player than Dalton Schultz,
Now,
especially when you talk about that speed
hold on.
element. Go
Wait,
ahead.
hold on. And because you said I gotta ask you this while we're here, and I didn't mean to stop you because I want you to continue talking about the rookies, of course. But so Marlon Klein makes it really hard for Brevin Jordan to make this team.
I think Brevin Jordan makes it really hard for Brevin Jordan to make this team, and I'm not blaming him, but health has just been an issue now for 3 years straight. 3 years straight, and we all love Brev, man, as a player and as a personality. Light up a room. Kind of like you, Sarge, with got a big smile, and it just is contagious, and that type of personality. It's like, man, I don't know what, but you kind of gravitate toward this guy.
Yeah.
So easy to root for, and not just in like a hokey way, but in a football way, because he is, I think, an explosive player when he's right. But man, he just haven't been out there enough, man. And it's not like, and it's not shade, just to be clear, but it's not like he's Tank,
Yeah.
right? Where if Tank's not out there, you still kind of know that's a high-end talent if he's healthy, and you want to go ahead and, especially in his last year of his contract, you want to go ahead and make the most of that. Brev, I think it's more of a combination, right? You got this Marlon Klein thing happening, and then he just haven't been able to stay on the field. So
Can I keep you on the hot seat for a second?
yeah.
Dalton Schultz, tight end one, right?
Ooh.
Who's tight end?
That's a stay tuned. Tight end. So Dalton Schultz tight end one for now. Stay tuned. For now, stay tuned. Marlon Klein,
Whoa.
I think Marlon Klein is the future at tight end in terms of a pass catching standpoint. And I think here's how I look at the tight end
Like
room.
next season, not this season though.
Probably next season.
Okay,
But
okay. 'Cause
but
I was
but
like,
but but look and see, to start this season, certainly not. But see how the season developed, man. Like, we understand that the way a rookie look early and the way a rookie look late, especially for a team like this that's going to be playing deep into the season and playing
yeah,
meaningful football deep into the season, it can be night and day. So we'll see. I'm not trying to put no limits on it. We'll see what his progression look like. But I like what I like about the tight end room is that you know what Dalton Schultz is, but then you got like different types of tight ends, right? You got Foster Moreau, who's more of a blocking tight end, but can catch the ball. You got Marlon Klein, who is probably their fastest tight end, not named Brevin Jordan, who is off to the side because he's injured. But Marlon Klein looked like he could be their most well-rounded. I think by the time it's said and done,
yeah.
Marlon Klein will be their most well-rounded tight end because I think he can offer you something significant run game in the pass game. Whereas Schultz is a little bit more of a pass catching tight end. Foster Moreau a little bit more of a run blocking tight end. To that point, so is Brevin Jordan more of a pass catcher. I think that Marlon Klein could be the more well-rounded of them all.
I could definitely see with them not having Higgins in there, I could definitely see them doing some two tight end sets with both of them on the field, with both of them being pretty much safety nets for CJ. Both of those guys can catch. Both of those guys are big bodied tight ends, and so I could see where they could use a double tight end set with those two. Side note B, because I definitely want to get back. I don't know if you see this. Senior Boble says breaking news: Clay Thompson to the Heat. Right?
Ooh, I got Twitter up, but I wasn't looking at the timeline. Let me see.
Is that
Don't mess with me now, Senior Buble. with the oh, I see it. I see it from Sean Sarania for one after a contract buyout. Wow, 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 wow. So Clay is mostly washed in terms of the Clay that we knew, but he can still shoot that ball.
So
He
B,
can still shoot it.
real quickly, B. So I'm sitting right here, right in my little studio slash office, right. Well, right here is the kitchen, right. So this morning I went down. My wife had an Amazon package that came in yesterday. So this morning I went down there and I got the Amazon package, right. Brought it up, took the contents out of the Amazon, took the contents out of the box, right. And so the box is right here, waiting on me to take it to the trash, right. So I'm looking at this box. B, I'm more intrigued on seeing if this box is gonna fall off the counter more than I am watching Klay Thompson play for the Heat. I'm more intrigued to see if this box, like, what is this box gonna do? Like, I want to just stare at the box and be like, is it gonna move? Like, what happens? Like, if I turn my head and look back, did it move any? Like, B, I'm more intrigued by watching that. B, I would rather put. You're too young to remember this. I'd rather put glue in my hand, let it dry, and then peel the glue off.
Oh, we used to do that. We used to do that. We used to do
And
that.
to watch Klay Thompson play for the Miami Heat, which, by the way, I think is like the fifth best team in the East. Like,
yeah,
getting Giannis didn't do anything for me. Him and Bam Adebayo need the same space.
yeah. I'm with you on all of that. Look, the Heat are not my favorite to win. I actually like I like the LeBron to Sixers thing. I know you didn't like that as much either, or some maybe or who I forget who it was. Maybe it was you.
It was
Yeah,
me.
but
Not enough
so
basketball to go around.
I like that way better than I like this Heat situation. But Clay is gonna be like the 9th or 10th man, right? Like I don't even think like he's not finna be even a T-move version of Ray Allen out there. And I don't think they're gonna ask nearly as much of him as they did with the Mavs when he first got there. Eventually, he was hurt and wasn't
And
really
he's
a
a
factor at
cone
all.
on defense.
He's not gonna be out there to play no. He's not gonna be out there to play no D. He's not gonna play enough to play defense. He's gonna be out there sniper, hired sniper. Senior Buble called hired sniper. He's gonna come out there and play 12 to 15 minutes a game and try to get up 3 to 4 threes if he can.
Well, hold on. This is why I love you so much, B. This is how I know you, my brother, and this is how I know that what I'm about to say, you're not gonna take it personal. But hey, Senior Buble, no, I'm not Team Meg. Hey, B, out of the two of us, who's Team Meg?
I would say I'm the resident Team Meg up in
Where's
here.
your picture, B? Where's
Resident
your picture?
Team. Hey man, y'all can. Hey, you know what? It's funny. I wish I had time, man. If
B, you did not get that thing printed out and put in the frame. B, no, you did not. So look,
hey, do I have time to go get it? Can you carry the show while I go get it and show it to you?
I carry the show. Oh, I'm gonna remove you. So I'm gonna leave this up until B comes back. I won't even. You know, I will wait till he comes back, and I will tell you all the story. And look, and this is what you get on Sports Talk with Big Sarge and on Texas Tailgate Talk when you get two guys who are entrenched in Houston sports talk and got a bunch of stories to tell. But real quickly, let me get back to this Klay Thompson to the Heat. When I look at that, do I think that Klay Thompson makes the Heat this contender in the East? No. Do I think that the Heat can beat? Do I think that the Heat can beat the New York Knicks? No. Do I think that the Heat could beat the Philadelphia 76ers? No. Do I think that the Heat could beat the Detroit Pistons? No. Hell, the Heat, as they're currently comprised, may not even be able to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, when I'm looking at them, I'm saying to myself, no. They're going to have a hard time with the Washington Wizards because they got a squad. Chicago is going to surprise some people. James Harden just re-signed with Cleveland. They got a better team than the Miami Heat. Like, this is like, when I look at it, I was like, I think I'd rather see I'd rather see Klay Thompson on a boat with his dog, with some tree, Hold on, B, are you back? B, there's no possible way you did that, B. Y'all look at this. Hold on, let me get this time down so I can clip this up. B.
Notably Team Meg, man. Notably Team Meg. And Meg, just let you know, I would
And you
never.
know what's so crazy? I think I took that picture for you.
Did you?
Remember, it was me, you, and Chancellor was
Chance
right
was
there,
there. Yep.
right? And I was like, okay, look, just for context, Meg threw out the first pitch. Was that opening day for them?
Opening day 2023, right after they had won the World Series. So that's why she got the World Series 2022 on here. World
Okay,
Series number 22, because that's the gold lettering. That's what the World Series champions were.
I'm
So
so
yeah,
glad that this is
yeah, man.
a family friendly show, and you pointed at her back at the 2022. Hey, who was the catcher in that game? Who got to take the picture with her?
Nah, it wasn't the catcher. It was he was a first baseman, the tall
Oh yeah.
dude.
Oh, he
He
was
was.
a first baseman. I can't
Come
think of
on,
his name right now.
yeah, we know his name. We know his name. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Dang,
After
that's been
after
so many years ago now. I'm forgetting that boy's name. But he took that moment, boy. He took that moment, man. He saw them white pants and say, "Look, man, I got to live in this moment, man. I got to be present, be where my
oh,
feet
he
are."
was the only one, huh? But no, I ain't gonna throw you out there like that, B. But I
Hey,
talked to
hey,
him
hey,
after the game.
hey, I will say this too. My girl got me that. I didn't do that on my own. My my
Ah,
own my own girlfriend saw the look on my face and how happy I was taking that photo and said, "You know, we got to get that Meg picture frame for you." And she is a Meg fan herself. But yeah, so yeah, man, I'm surprised that I was able to just grab it. It's not on the wall nowhere. I need to find a spot on the wall for it. It was just sitting over in my office. But
wow,
yeah,
B. I
a,
remember that too, and
a
so
keepsake.
so I say that to say, hey, look, I'm Team Meg too because I think that Meg is one hell of a rapper, and being from Houston, she got the Houston sound to me, right? So I listen to her style of rap. I'm not big on the lyrics.
Right.
Cause I ain't popping nothing, dropping nothing, slanging nothing, doing nothing,
I ain't doing
making
nothing that she
nobody
talking
do
about.
nothing. Like I ain't for all that, but I like her. You know what I'm saying? She always paid homage to the Houston rap culture.
Yeah.
As I digress, B. So we talking about the rookies,
Yeah. So other rookies. We had to get the more important matters. So
right?
that was I would classify that as urgent. But other rookies, I talked to you about this on my show earlier. But Noah Whittington, consider me a fan. Senior Buble say Sarge must be Team Meg. In a much different context here, I am Team Noah. I am Team Noah Whittington. I like the way he runs, low pad level, low center of gravity. For a, no disrespect, diminutive guy, smaller guy, he runs. I think with the power required and the way that you want your running backs to run. So I would leave him out of that conversation. The folks that wasn't swarmy enough, that didn't play to the brand. I like him as a back of the roster. Obviously, I don't want him to be your main back, but as a back of the roster, could take some carries, maybe take a little bit of the low workload off of some other guys a little bit, change of pace. I don't mind him. So the obvious, Caden McDonald, Keelan Rutledge, but I got to throw Noah Whittington in there as well as a rookie that is impressed. Um, we mentioned Marlon Klein earlier as well. So and he Marlon Klein had a play also in the run game. I think so much gets made of him catching the ball, but he's such a raw player. CJ was talking about this earlier in the week. He is such a raw player who's still learning so much, but is a big part of, aside from the needing the physicality and just to be able to physically match up in the run game, is a willingness. Like, you got to really want to run block in order to be really good at it. You can't just be like mildly interested in it. And
Yep.
he is not mildly interested in it. He is very much interested and engaged, even if his techniques and fundamentals are not all the way up to par just yet. So similar to Caden McDonald, but probably to a much more degree. Once he figures some things out and with some coaching, I think he's going to be really good again. A well-rounded tight end for them. So Those are the ones that stand out to me the most. That's four of them right there.
But you remember before the show started, I said, "Hey man, there's a question that I'm going to ask you."
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Wade Woodass with the pick six. My bad. I can't forget
Oh yeah,
the pick six. That I mean, that would be crazy to not mention that. So shout out to Wade Woodass for taking one back.
and we didn't get an opportunity to speak with him in the locker room because he got injured during the game, and the policy is you can't talk to players who got injured throughout the game. But he was walking out of the locker room, right? And I seen him, and I said, "Hey man, you got to work on your touchdown celebration. Like you got to get a dance like Nico did. I don't know if you seen the thing that the social media team put up with
I
Nico
did.
in the celly something. I forgot the celly room or something."
Yeah, I
And
forgot what they said, but they showed him dancing.
I said, "You got to get you a touchdown celebration dance like how Nico got." And Nico was right there, and Nico just bust out laughing. Tom Sarge, you crazy? And Wade just looked at me and started laughing and walked out. But yeah, that was impressive. I mean, he went 80 yards. Like that was really impressive.
Shot out like a cannon too. Like his
Yeah,
his strides, like that was a great example of like I don't know if folks are able to appreciate how tall he is, but of course you and I been to practice and we be out there like, dang, that's
yeah,
that's a, that's a that's a tall dude playing with the rest of the linebackers over there.
yep,
And boy, you saw him striding, boy, and he had a little speed to him too, but he was striding, especially at the end. And then early on when he first caught that bad boy, like he just passed everybody up,
yep.
So showed a little bit of athleticism on that play.
Once he learns how to play linebacker in the NFL, he's going to be really good.
Yeah,
Um, be the remember I told you I said, "Hey man, there's a question I'm going to ask you in the show that I'm not going to even tell you what it is." And I said, because I want your natural reaction to it. You ready?
let's do it.
Victim of the moment, right? Do you think that a lot of people are victim of the moment with Noah Whittington?
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it could be in terms of like this is just who's out there. Like you gotta think about it. They letting guys audition. They're just trying to get through the preseason games to some degree. Like you're just trying to get to to where the clock hits zero and want to be as healthy as you possibly can. So I think that could be part of it. But I look at it like this in terms of like not taking him seriously. I think it's more of a victim of circumstance. And when a guy is undrafted, um, that it's easier to dismiss a guy. That's why watching Colin Wright do what he was doing was so impressive because it's like you're not expecting nothing from a undrafted guy, especially at a position like that where, if first of all, it's one of the harder positions, if not the hardest outside of quarterback to play in the NFL. And they got studs at the position, all pro and soon to be future all pros at the position already, right? And Derek
Yep.
Stingley Jr. and Kamari Lassiter. So you're like, oh, well, I'm not really checking for backup corners. And on top of the Jalen Reed point, right? I'm sorry, Jalen Smith. I do this thing with the Jalen's all the time where I forget which one I'm talking about. The Jalen Smith point too. So it's like, man, they got high end, they got depth. Who cares what the undrafted guy is doing? And then he goes out there and impresses in camp, but you weren't checking for him because he was undrafted and on top of that, at a position where they already had players. Running back is not necessarily the same in terms of the depth of the position, but you already feel like you know who the running backs are. We've already kind of decided it's David Montgomery, it's Woody Marks, and then we've seen Jawar Jordan be productive in a game before. So there's no reason for anybody after those three to jump those three in that order, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so why even think about it? Or maybe it's just kind of on the back burner. But I'm just saying, for what it is, for what we've seen, I think Noah Whittington has a future in the NFL. How long? I don't know. He's a running back. Maybe it's one season, maybe it's 5 seasons. I don't know. But can he play at this level? Certainly. I think that's somebody that I think can play and has a spot somewhere, if not on the 53-man roster, somebody that I wouldn't mind seeing make the practice squad at the very least. So prisoner of the moment, yes, because this is the moment. This is the time where guys like that who may or may not make the roster get a chance to play. But I also think it's prisoner of circumstance where it's easy to shrug your shoulders at a guy who is not touted, even though he had a good career in college at Oregon. And I watched him at Oregon. He's really good, but he's not touted coming into camp or his signing with the team was not celebrated. Like, oh, we got Noah Whittington. Did nobody do that? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, so shoulder shrug. But when he gets out there, he looks good. He does the job, you know. So yeah, I think it definitely is what a lot of these guys could be prisoner of the moment when they play well and there's not necessarily a clear either spot for them on the team or a clear path for them to play significant snaps, which I think is the case for Whittington. You know, if he's out there actually running the ball, that means something went terribly wrong somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, and nobody's anticipating that or wants to anticipate that. So that's what I would say about it. But he's looked good, man. I
Yeah.
feel like he's looked good in his limited time.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you, B. I was just, I was asking that because, I felt like earlier part of camp it was Lewis Bond. Now this part of camp is Noah Whittington, and so I don't want people to get caught up in being prisoner of the moment when it comes to these two guys because these two players are actually very talented, and the fact that they went undrafted says I think more about maybe some of the NFL scouts than it does about the way that those two guys play. And so I was just sitting there thinking, B, when you were talking, and we're talking about, um, you know, well, I'm sorry, of course, Lewis Bond was drafted in the 6th round,
Right.
but when we're talking about undrafted players, and you're talking about a Noah Whittington, I think you mentioned Colin Wright
Yep.
early on. B, I think that you know what I'm going to do. I think that I'm going to do this sometime here in the near future, and I'm just saying this. I'm talking out loud, and I just thought about this because when you were talking about guys, you talk about Noah Whittington who went undrafted but is, having a really good camp. I wonder if if this is what we would have seen if we would have been watching the Niners camp when Aziz was invited to camp, right? I wonder
That's a
if we
good
would have been
question.
like, I wonder if we would have been like, hey man, you know who's standing out? And I guess I want to go back and when was the hold on, B, when was Aziz drafted by
Now he was undrafted, right?
I mean undrafted, yeah. When did he get invited? He's been in the league.
2018 or
This is his eighth
19.
year?
Yeah, it was either 18 or 19. One of those. 2018 or 2019 would have been his first year. And of course, they would have had Fred Warner. I feel like maybe I'm trying to remember who all would have been on them teams at that
Was it the
time.
guy
But
who was what you call it still there, the one who retired early that came out of Mississippi?
you talking about Patrick Willis?
Yeah, he was gone already, right?
Think he was already gone, but they might have had Navar Bowman
Yeah.
at that time. So they had guys in front of him. That's a good question, man. I that would be real interesting to ask somebody that was covering the 49ers at the time was like, could you have seen the vision with Aziz Al-Shire? And like to his credit though, Aziz is even better now than when he first got here a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And he was already, he was a starter in Tennessee for a year and had earned that spot after what he had kind of done uh in fill-in work with San Francisco. But I'm talking about just since he got here a couple of years ago, got to Houston a couple of years ago, he is a noticeably better player. So I can't imagine how much he has improved from day one as an undrafted free agent up until now. But it does go to show how how much growth can happen, from where you start to where you end up, So yeah, could we be looking at a player like that somewhere? I'm not saying it's Noah Whittington, but could Colin Wright be a guy like that? Could you were mentioning Jamal Hill earlier, somebody that's in his third year in the league, but was, not highly touted coming out of the draft and was a later pick. Could he be that down the road? I think that there are some candidates. Now, overall, like I mentioned before, as a group, they don't look super deep and the reserves don't look all that great. But you got a handful of guys, the
Hmm.
ones that we mentioned that could have a future somewhere.
And B, I don't. I'm sorry. I know it may not look like I'm not paying attention, but I'm reaching out to Tim Kawakami.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He
Long
covered.
time right in the Bay.
Yeah, so that's why I'm putting this out to see if I can get him to respond because now I'm interested, and I've talked to Aziz on multiple occasions about being in that camp and Greenlaw, right? Was it
Dre
Greenlaw?
Greenlaw. Yeah, yeah. I said
I
yeah,
was
Dre
just like, wait a
Greenlaw.
minute, because I know it's like okay, it was Greenlaw and it was Fred Warner, and then
Yep.
Greenlaw just popped in my mind, but talked to him on multiple occasions. But I think that let's see if we can reach out. B, and if you don't mind, let's do this a joint thing with the Texas Tailgate Talk and the B Block podcast, and see if we can't get Tim to come on and talk to him about his early impressions of Aziz Al Shire when he came undrafted out of Florida Atlantic, if I'm not mistaken,
That's right.
right? Out of
Yep.
Florida Atlantic, and when you're looking at him in camp, how we're saying, hey man, Noah Whittington is standing out, and not Lewis Bond, Colin Wright is standing out. These undrafted guys are standing out. I wonder if that's what was said back then. I guess we could also do some research online and find some articles, maybe.
Yeah, and I gotta check myself too, because you mentioned the right one. Dre Greenlaw was the other one, because I said Navarro Bowman, he was just gone by the time that Aziz got there. They missed each other by like a couple of years. So I said Navarro Bowman. I was thinking about Dre Greenlaw. They didn't have some mean linebackers out there, man. They low key are LBU right now. When it comes to producing these guys. So, and then of course Fred Warner is still out here.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that would be good though. And Aziz is just a fascinating character to talk about. Like his story arc is one for the ages. It should be a book or a documentary or a movie or something written about it at some point.
All right, B. I got to get you up out of here, but I'm gonna end the show on this. So it was announced on today, right, which is Friday. It was announced that Will Anderson Jr., All Pro defensive end for the Houston Texans, was ranked number 12 in the top 100 players of 2026. Right, he's ranked number 12, which is a 34 slot jump because I think last season he was number 46. I think he was 46, and now he's number 12. B, I didn't agree with 46. I didn't agree with 46 last year. I thought that he should have at least been, top 25, maybe top 20, top 25 at least top 25. And I mean, they're ranking these players, and I felt like he should have been at least top 25 last year. And now I'm saying to myself, why? Will is a top 10 player, B. Like, to me. And I know I ain't the only one that feels this way. And I'm not trying to ask you, I'm not trying to push you towards that agreeing with me side, but B, am I wrong? They got him in the top 12. He should be in the top 10.
So I gotta see who the next 11 end up being, because
Drake May gonna be up there?
here's what I say though. I'm glad you mentioned Drake May, because what I say is that it does feel like these rankings tend to, especially when you include everybody, offensive and defensive players, that it leans heavy offense when you're talking about great players. But so like if you just value offense more, which I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, I'm just kind of off to the side here. If you do value offense more than you do defense, I would argue you shouldn't do that. But if you do, then I can see how some of these defensive players would get bumped down a little bit. But to the point that you making, Sarge, I'll just say it like this. There is not a better defensive player in football than Will Anderson Jr., not named Myles Garrett. So giving Myles Garrett at the top. After that, it's Will Anderson Jr. for me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wherever the second best defensive player in football ranks, whether that makes him the second best player in football, period, whether that makes him top 5, top 10, or if you're offensively biased and you got 10 players in the top 11, that's going to be your top players. That's offensive. Okay, well, fine. But
I would say maybe one more, B.
Who's the other one?
Because they haven't announced where Patrick Surtain the second is, right?
Man, who would you rather have? I can tell you right now, you building a football team. I give you Patrick Surtain. I give you Will Anderson Jr. Who you taking? I know who I'm taking.
I'm taking Will Anderson Jr. But was Surtain was a defensive player of the year?
Oh, was he last year? No, I think didn't Miles win it again?
The year before that?
Has he won one? I don't think has he won one yet. You might be right.
I'm not for sure, but I mean
But to that point though, Will is well on his way. Like Will is going to win at least one defensive player of the year award before it's all said and done for him. Right? Like
Will would have had back-to-back all-pro seasons if he didn't get hurt in New
in
York.
2024.
If
Yep.
he doesn't get hurt in New York, because remember the day that they played that game, which was Halloween, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
Will had just been announced as AFC Defensive Player of the Month.
Yeah. All
He
right.
was well on his way.
Patrick Surtain was the defensive player of the year in 2024 and is a 3-time All-Pro. 3-time. So
what I'm saying is, I'm not taking Patrick Surtain over Will Anderson Jr., but based off of
the resume,
looks like what we're going off of, they're gonna say, "Hey, man, this guy was former defensive player of the year. He's still in the league. He's still playing at a high level. Will is still ascending, even though I don't think Surtain has reached his peak just yet. But Will is still ascending. So that's why I would think that they would probably say Myles Garrett, Patrick Surtain, and then Will Anderson Jr. That's what they would say.
That's
I
fair.
would say Myles Garrett and then Will Anderson Jr. But it gets tricky too, B. And this look, I gotta say this. All right, look, the thoughts, views, and opinions on the Texans Tailgate Talk Show is Big Sarge's and Big Sarge's alone, right? So when we're talking about that, right? When we're comparing Will and we're comparing Myles Garrett, right? And I know even Will would probably say, "Hey man, Myles Garrett is up there, right?" I know that Will can do the things that Myles Garrett does. Can Myles Garrett do the things that Will does effectively?
Ooh, that's tough because the thing is, what Myles does, he does it so well that it could just wrecks the game, kind of like Will, right? He's just such a game wrecker, and he's just such a tough cover for whoever it is on the other side of him, right? That's why it was so impressive what Laramie would do when they would have 8 battles back when Laramie was here, right? Like, man, is he really doing that against Myles Garrett? Like, he is legitimate. But man, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know if maybe I just watch Will a lot more, but Will is a demon in both as a pass rusher and in the run game. That in a way that I just feel like you gotta tip your cap, but Myles is just so dominant of a pass rusher and just a player in general, man. The strength, I don't know, man, but even if I were to give Will the more well-rounded point, Myles is so good at the top end of that of the thing that he does that, man, it just wrecks the game. It just wrecks the game. It's a good thought though.
You remember when I think this earlier this year, I think it was Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons were on a podcast together, or they were doing something. And they were talking about Myles Garrett was talking about the amount of sacks that he had, and Micah Parsons was like, "You're right, you got these sacks." He's like, "But look at my pressure rate. My pressure rate is higher than yours." And then Myles Garrett was like, "Yeah, you're putting the pressure, but I'm getting the sack, right?" And I'm saying to myself, no, Myles Garrett has a point, and he's right. But that pressure has to amount to something. Because let me put it like this, B. Let me put it like this. Myles Garrett will get the sack, and that will be a dead play for the offense, right? Will can get the sack too, and that'll be a dead play for the offense, right? That sack, if Myles Garrett doesn't cause if he doesn't cause a fumble and recover it, then all that sack did is dead a play, right? And I'm not taking, let me make sure because somebody's gonna try to clip this up. I'm not taking away the fact that how important the sack is and how that could stop an offensive momentum, right? But say Will doesn't get the sack, but he puts so much pressure on the quarterback that he makes an errant throw, and now Stingley gets an interception, or Bullock gets an interception, or Kamari gets an interception.
Yeah.
Or he's put so much pressure on a quarterback who can't set his feet, he's making an errant throw, or there's so much pressure on that quarterback trying to elude Will that he runs right into Daniil, or he runs right into Sheldon Rankins. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Myles Garrett is not Myles Garrett, first ballot Hall of Famer, and for what he does, he is the number one guy at doing that. I just don't know if he is in that category of what Will can do. And I don't have the pressure rate numbers or anything like that. I'm just strictly going off the eye test because, like, I haven't seen Myles Garrett run as many yards as Will Anderson Jr. did to sack Josh Allen. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I haven't seen I haven't seen I didn't see or I haven't seen in a long time Myles Garrett make the play that Will Anderson Jr. made in Seattle with the strip sack, forced fumble, touchdown.
Yeah. I don't think anybody in football, and the closest thing I would put to it is, well, Micah Parsons is actually in this conversation as well, as
Yeah,
now that you mention it.
healthy
But
Micah Parsons.
a healthy Micah Parsons. But when we talking about a motor,
Yeah,
and I know his name is Will, but when we're talking about willpower and just sheer want to, I don't think that there is a player that has a higher motor. I think guys that are in the conversation are Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson, who I don't think is as good as these guys, but is right there in a similar conversation, and definitely in the conversation like with Will. He plays that way as well. Hair on fire, don't give up on a play, just relentless, right?
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby, yeah. But I would put Will at the top of the list. On those, and those are all real dudes that we just mentioned. But Will, and I think that's the part that stands out and that makes him special. Is like you can just sense that this guy is not gonna stop. He's not stopping. He's not stopping until the play is absolutely over with. And likewise, the play is not over with for you as a defense as long as Will is out there trying to get home.
I remember I talked to the first year Will had his no, the second year Will had his camp in Georgia because he just finished his third one. So yeah, he just finished his third one this year. So the second camp, I got a chance to talk to Will's little league coach, and I put that video out. But he said at 5 years old, right? 5 years old, 6 years old. He said Will was the smallest guy because he played up. So at 5, Will is playing with 7 year olds, right? And so he'd be out there, and I think Will started out as a running back. And Will be out there and he, get hit by the big boys, and Will would have tears in his eyes. His best friend that stayed next door to him knocked snot out of his nose. Kayvon, who is actually the high school football, is the head coach of the high school that him and Will graduated from. But Will always played up, so he's all the kids were always bigger than him, and so Will would make the mistake. So at one point, Will's father told, I can't remember the coach's name now. I'm gonna have to go back and insert the video into this. He told Will's father told, "Hey man, get him out of there, man. He keep making this, that, and other." And he told Will's dad, "Hey, look," he said, "let me tell you something." He said, "I can coach the X's and O's. I can coach him I can coach him I can coach the X's and O's and make him a better player as far as that is concerned. I can coach him to teach him the fundamentals on how to get better at what he's doing. I can teach him that." He said, "But what I cannot teach Will is something that he possesses naturally." He said, "And that's his motor." He says, "I can't." He said that kid has a motor that runs on high every play. He says, and I can't. He said, "I can't coach that." B, you remember back in the day they used to be like, "Hey man, you can't coach speed. If a kid is
Hmm.
fast, he's fast." And so that's what he was telling Will's dad. He's like, "I can't And so every level that Will has been on, that is the one thing that they've always talked about: his motor and his will and his determination, no pun intended, to be the best. I mean, we've heard DeMeco talk about it. We've heard Sheldon Rankins talk about it. We've heard Matt Burke talk about it repeatedly. So That's all I'm saying is that when it comes to that, like I think the only person that I could think of within that same realm who has a high motor like Will would be Michael Parsons.
Yeah, yeah, nah, 100%. And where they are alike, there's two ways where Will and Michael Parsons are alike. Number one, since we're talking about the motor, is that the talent, because it is other guys with high motors like that, but their talent doesn't necessarily match up to it, right? There are guys that are as talented, but their motor doesn't match up to it. Whereas I think with Will and with Michael Parsons, both things line up,
Yeah.
come together with the motor and the talent being elite. So I think they're both gifted guys with the high motor on top of that. And then just this subtle thing of, because Michael Parsons played linebacker in college. Like both of them are just way stronger than they look. Like they
Right.
are, and I'm not saying that they're small, but Michael Parsons definitely an undersized defensive end. And Will is not necessarily the biggest guy in the world. Like, got good size, but not the biggest guy in the world. But boy, they strong.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, they as strong as anybody that's way bigger than them.
Well,
So that's that's the
wait.
that's the big part.
I think you're only saying that because he has to stand next to Daniil Hunter on a consistent basis. Who, by the way, when the Pit Podcast was here, Ron Clark said, "Man, this dude been the same size since college." He said, "Imagine walking onto a college football field and seeing Daniil Hunter across from you, looking like that. It's like his
Scary.
body. He like he has looked the same way forever." So anyway, so like are we comparing Will stature because he has to stand next to Daniil Hunter?
I think so. Yeah, that there is that, but I think it's also when you compare him to tackles too, right? And the tackles do tend to be bigger than the defensive ends, but like he's not like, I mean, Will got good. He got good size. I'm not saying that he's small, but he's even stronger than he looks.
Yes.
Is all I'm saying. It's like however strong you look at him and think he is, he's stronger than that. Got power and got the speed as well on top of it. And then the motor to add, which is the part that you can't teach, right? You can make them stronger, you can teach them technique, but like you said, man, there's just something. There is a motor there that is just a little bit different from the next guy.
Yeah. Look, a motor and a little a motor and a little throwed offness.
Yeah,
It
like the
kind
boy
of
ain't right, like the
you know
boy ain't
like
right, but the boy ain't right, but in the right way.
in the right way. A little throwed offness, a little like that. What being ended like this. You remember when you were playing sports in high school and the coach used to always talk about intestinal fortitude.
Yes.
Like Will's intestinal fortitude is off the map, off the chain. Low key. Hold on. Let's see before we get up out of here. Let's see what he just say. Low key Will getting swole because I recall how he appeared last season. He's definitely bigger.
We're gonna put
Wait,
that
wait.
pause up there though, just to qualify.
Look.
Pause.
B, tell the people where they can find you at, man.
Catch me on the B Block with B Scott on YouTube. You can also catch the podcast, the B Block podcast, wherever it is that you get your podcast. And now it's 95.7 The Fan, formerly of Sports Radio 610. I'm pretty sure that most of y'all who follow sports radio are familiar with that brand, but it's 95.7 The Fan now as of the last couple of weeks or so, doing weekend shows. So make sure y'all catch that. Normally that afternoon hour, so either from 12 to 3. This weekend is going to be 1 to 4. But catch me on 95.7 The Fan and the B Block with B Scott.
B Block with B Scott. Man, first of all, let me tell you, thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you for coming on the show, B. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for taking out your time. I always say this to I say this to pretty much all my guests. Time is the most important possession that an individual has, and for you to spend yours with me, man, and the rest of the family, I appreciate that, man. With the rest of the tailgaters. Hold on 1 second, B. I gotta see. Okay. They say everybody be easy. I just want to make sure I get that out. Be easy.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Like shot, share.
Yeah, and I'll say too, from my heart to the hearts of all of y'all from the Texans Tailgate, from the Big Sarge Media time, You right in what you say about time. That's how you really know where somebody's heart is at when they spend their time with you. So to me, this is time well spent from me to y'all.
Appreciate it. And B, I gotta say this before you go. I'm so proud. Like when you was younger. I keep going back to because I'm old. B, I'm getting to that point to where I'm just reliving the glory days in my mind over and over again.
I'm catching
But
up
you
to you, Sarge. I'm catching up.
remember,
Catching
B,
up, dog.
B, you remember when you was younger and your mom used to be like, "Hey, we having company. Don't you act a fool in this house. Don't you act up." And then when you don't act up and they leave, then your mama or your dad they just like proud of you because it's like, yo, you acted so good. Then you might, get a treat or at least you've earned a favor for later on down the line when you act a damn fool, right?
Yeah. So now when the ice cream truck, I don't know if how many people in the chat are old enough to remember ice cream trucks these days. So younger people, there used to be these trucks with ice cream on them. They used to ride through your neighborhood back in the day. And if you gave them 50 cent or $1 or more than that, you could really score at the ice cream truck.
Two
But
dollars, you
sometimes
balling at the ice cream truck,
I'm
be two
telling you, when you
dollars.
you ready to buy the ice cream truck, damn near. But the thing is, your mama might not always want to spend her little $2 on your ice cream truck. She might, hey, you better get on out here. We got ice cream already. You better find you one of these little popsicles in the freezer somewhere, and they never want to do it for you. But after you act right with company, that ice cream truck next time it make the block, mama, the ice cream truck here. You hear that? You hear that, mama? She go out there and get you that little ice cream, and you feel like you done good for yourself.
Man, B, um, I owe you I owe you ice cream because they didn't act up in front of company, so I owe you ice cream, B. Well, no, wait, low fat, non sugar ice cream,
Yeah, zero. Yeah, you owe me ice cream zero.
sherbet or something.
Sure. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah,
Man,
maybe some Italian ice.
now, B, I'm starting to think about old school parties I used to go to where they used to have a Sprite and lime sherbet. Man, let me get up out of here, man.
Man,
Let
you
me
gonna
get
take me
you up out
back.
of here. I know you gotta enjoy your weekend. The kids getting ready to come home. Hey, B, thanks, man. I appreciate it, brother. I'll talk to you a little bit later on.
I'm out.
All right, y'all. Thank you all for joining us, man. I cannot not say thank you enough to Brandon K. Scott from 95.7 The Fan and the host of the B Block podcast. Make sure you are subscribed to that podcast. Like B does an outstanding job of curating that entire thing. Not only when he has guests, but when he's by himself. Like he's very entertaining, and he keeps you. And he has that voice of the temptation. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. In my mind, that like B has that thing. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports, the Z at the end. Follow me on the tick and the talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you are subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk Show, all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk. And make sure you follow me on Instagram or IG, as the young people like to call it, the Generation Alpha, which is weird because I am a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports, with the Z at the end. Because we do everything for the gram. All right, y'all. I'll see you all a little bit later on. We got to talk about, I got some pretty good information about this Jaden Higgins situation. Big Sarge, I'm out.
Big Sarge.